Wow. Can you hear me?
Can now.
We sure can.
Nice to meet you here.
Okay, of course. Seth, you want me to record?
Yeah,
I got
if
you.
you're going
Recording in progress.
I got you.
if you're going live on YouTube and stuff, we can always just send people there.
Yep, and I got everybody on the chat too, so that's awesome. All right, guys. So we are live from everywhere in the world right now. We're on YouTube, Instagram. So I hope you guys don't mind being live because we're gonna deliver high-level content today. I posted a video the other day, and I think it holds true. Everyone teaches you in every program how to buy real estate, and nobody teaches you how to manage real estate, right? And I think that is the most important part because after you buy it, it's just like, what do I do next? Everybody finds themselves with the question of what do I do next? So it's kind of a high-level discussion that we'll be having this evening. I appreciate everybody being here with us. Seth, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good to go.
All right, I think I know everybody. So I'm Seth. Good to see everybody. Thanks for everybody showing up. I'm a real estate investor. Been investing since 2019 or so. And, got together with Ray to put this together just to share as much knowledge as possible and build a network with folks. So I appreciate everybody showing up consistently. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great to have everybody here. To the people who are watching YouTube, Instagram, who do not know me, my name is Ray Glimp. I have over 100 doors, 10 million in real estate deals. And we are building a community free every Tuesday. This community is totally free, so we're happy to put this on. Seth and I spend numerous amounts of time. Seth, we spent probably about 3 hours on the phone today just getting information piled up. So we spend a lot of time for everybody. So we hope you guys take full advantage of this. And it's great to see everybody on as well.
Yeah, we've been talking about this since 9:30 this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. We're happy to share out this little disclaimer for everybody as well if you want it. But the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and the guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any organization. The content provided is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as professional, legal, medical, or financial advice. Listeners are encouraged to conduct their own research and consult with appropriate professionals before making any decisions based on the information provided in this podcast. Any reliance you place on such information is strictly at your own risk.
Awesome.
Need the lawyers at.
Our favorite part, gold diggers. And so this is what we love to hear from you guys. I want to hear about any new things that you've accomplished in the past week or 2 weeks, whether it be real estate related, personal. We love to hear your goals. Goals are very important to building. So anybody want to share a goal that they've accomplished this week? Just go ahead and mute yourself if you want to. And in the comments, if you guys, Facebook, YouTube, we love to hear from you guys as well. So please share what you've done this week in the chat. No goals this week, huh? Thing, you there?
You mean goals or wins?
Wins.
Okay. Yeah, I can share you something. I got closed my 2 properties. Oh, one is for flipping property in Des Moines, Iowa. The other one is a contract house. I sold it to the buyer. The buyer refinanced this house.
Awesome.
So 2 closed, and I received my deed in Morgantown for vacant land. I purchased it from tax sale.
Awesome.
Received the tax deal, and congratulations to Seth. He received the contract from a seller, and I supported him to do that. I'm so glad to be part of that.
Awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyone else want to share their small wins that they had this week, previous week?
I can share a win, Ray.
Go ahead, Jared.
The win for me would be
it happened a while ago, not too long ago, but the Morgantown Home Show. I was set up there. Had my exclusive movers tent, everything, canopy, whole thing set up. And I was, still to this day, I'm getting a lot of jobs from that home show. So
good.
That's something that's just been stretching out over the course of this soon to be busy moving season ahead. So that's been a solid win for me.
Congratulations. That's awesome. I hope you crush it this summer.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else want to share some wins that they had?
Yeah, I can. So some of you may have heard before the meeting started, but I found hopefully 3 potential off-market deals on Craigslist. So just working trying to reach out to the seller to get into the properties to look at them. But yeah, that's my big win from last week.
Congratulations.
It was a huge win. It's awesome.
Yeah. I got to give you your flowers. You got 3 properties that are, maybe each individually a killer property. So congratulations. That's a big step. Even in today's market, that's a huge step. And we all know how hard it is to find a deal. But to find 3 in a week, you've been putting the work in. I'm happy to see that.
Yeah. And especially, on Craigslist. Who would have thought? So.
Yeah, Craigslist. Never doubt Craigslist.
Absolutely.
We won't question why you were creeping on Craigslist, but
actually, I think it was a meeting a couple weeks back. Either Ray or Seth stated that they found their first deals on Craigslist. I'm like, Craigslist, isn't that where creepers go to and scammers? But I've actually found several more houses on Craigslist, but it just didn't work out for me. But yeah, it seems to be people still use Craigslist. Mm-hmm. So
a lot of for sale by owners on Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of disposition in Virginia. We do a lot of dispositions and find investors and stuff like that advertised on Craigslist. Surprisingly. So I think it's a hidden gem for sure.
Yeah. And anybody else with a small win or a big win, maybe?
Yeah, I got one for you, Ray.
Go ahead, Matt.
On Friday, Good Friday, I was up in New York visiting family and stuff, and I got a call from a lender that I've been working with the past couple of months, trying to get some friends approved to start developing affordable housing units on some vacant land that I was working on. So it took I'd say about 5 months to actually get a lender to approve my drawings. So they finally got approved, and funds that they want to allocate towards it got approved as well. So now I'm in the process of getting the land bank on board. So right now that's step 2, but I felt like that was a huge win for me this past week.
Awesome. Congrats, Matt. Ashley says she negotiated her largest contract this week, increases new customers by 2 this week. Congratulations. That is awesome. I heard her excitement earlier this week when we talked as well. So I'm pretty happy for you, Ash. Anybody else want to share their small win?
That's great. Yeah, I can jump in real quick.
Yeah.
My business actually, one of our rocks for last year, one of our last quarter was to hire a full-time acquisitions person for the stuff that we do in the Central Virginia market. So we found a guy who actually had a lot of experience. We brought him on, and was real excited. I thought he was going to work out pretty good. And so he started at the 2nd or 3rd to the last day of February. So he's been working just over 30 days with us. He's actually already put 4 properties under contract in 30 days. So awesome. Just having somebody there that's focused on it full time and stuff like that's doing a big thing for our business, and increasing our volume. And then this group led to, in between Mountaineer RIA and the Entrepreneur Roundtable here, this, led to Flora and I connecting, and I was able to help her pastor out and got his property under contract as well. So that's 5 deals in less than 30 days that we've gotten under contract, just from networking and doing our marketing. It's awesome.
Congrats on that, Seth. I guess I'll share with you guys. I don't even know what the small one. I want to share. I know one of the students on, and I'm always happy when somebody in the community gets a contract or gets a property under contract. So congrats to that person. I won't put them out there, but they got a property under contract. I'm super happy for them. It's a great deal. And then I just got approval on my $1.5 million grant. We just got the blessing from the bank. So that is a process moving forward. So I'm pretty excited to do that. So I appreciate it. Anybody else small wins before we move forward? Awesome.
Awesome, man. Congratulations.
Congrats. Yeah.
Congrats.
Okay. Breaking news. This is my favorite. All right. So if you guys follow me, if you don't follow me on Instagram, please follow me on Instagram. I always post stuff like this, and I see it all the time. And these are the things that Seth and I have been talking about for months. I mean, months and months and months. And it's coming to fruition. Renting is now cheaper than owning in all of America's 50 biggest metro areas. Right. And we see it. This kind of sums up why it's so hard for some of you to find deals in the first place. Everything is super expensive. They are expecting some softening in the markets, but we are having a huge supply and demand issue, right? So over the next year or two, we might see a little bit of softening. Rents may come down a little bit, but it's only temporary. I saw a video yesterday of Grant Cardone, and he pretty much, people were asking him, where are rents going? And he's like, well, you think it's expensive now? Wait 2 years. Right, rents that you're seeing are 1,700, 1,800 are going to be 3,000, 4,000, and we're not far off from that. I just saw in California that they are now allowing, or they're giving out, I believe it's $750 to all low-income individuals. They're giving it to them, right? And so what this is, it's kind of a tax on the middle class, because the middle class is who pays for it, really. Upper class, the high class earners, they're not paying for it because they're not paying taxes at all, and lower class aren't paying taxes either, so they're getting benefited. It's really a tax on the middle class. So owning real estate, we preach it every week. That's what we're here for. Owning real estate, you got to own, right? That needs to be, and I know it's my end goal, and hopefully it's your guys' end goal. You got to own real estate.
Yep.
Anything you want to key in on that, Seth?
No, I think we talk about it pretty regularly. That,
Yeah.
There's never in the past. I mean, even since I got in late 2018, early 2019, that has always been the topic, right? It's the inventory. Inventory was bad back then, right? And then everything happened. Rates went down to 2-3%, and any inventory that was there got all bought up. So.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So today we are talking about dealing with problem tenants. As I mentioned to you guys before, everybody teaches you how to buy, but nobody teaches you how to manage. Okay. So this is particularly for if you have a property manager and if you don't have a property manager. All right. Either way, this still applies. Okay. We came up with this acronym, and I think it's high level too. Just remember to act. Okay. This is how we're going to vet, handle problems from the beginning and to end. Just remember the acronym ACT. So A, application, C is communication, and T is termination. All right. Those 3 letters will get you to the end game when dealing with problem tenants. I've done this constantly. I'm going to give you guys some stories. These are screenshots that I'm sharing with you guys of tenants that I've dealt with. I'm not going on a Wednesday call now. If you guys don't know, we host a Wednesday call too. That's for our winner circle, our inner circle members. We're going to go deeper into that. If you want access to the Wednesday call, just make sure you reach out to us. But today, we're just going to kind of scratch the surface on things that I've seen as a landlord with I probably house over 200-300 people right now. So these are the things that I'm seeing currently. All right. So A, application. All right. So for you guys that know, we're using the Nago software. If you want a link to it, just make sure you DM me or message us. I can get you guys a link to the software. All my students in the chat, this is what we use. Okay. Application. So the first step is with a tenant is making sure that you vet and acquire the right tenant from the beginning. Right. This is so important. Right. Tenant screening you can't overlook it. All right, so here's an example of something that I got from a tenant that filled out an application. Okay. And so when I do this on my software, my property management software, this is what it spits out. I require all my tenants to do a background check, income verification, eviction report. We're looking at credit score. These are the things that I'm vetting for. Now, this is specific and totally different from state to state. I know in New York City, and I don't know if you guys ever followed Dan, I forget his last name, but me and Dan talk quite often. And, in New York City, you can't deny somebody based on credit score. Okay. It's a good indicator for you, but you can't deny them based on credit score. So these are some things that we are looking for. I know in my particular state, there is no reason you can just deny them. But these are some of the things I'm looking for. So resident score. Resident score is something that's populated through my software, and it's going to tell you, hey, this person is telling the truth about where they've lived, etc. How good is that score? Okay. Background report. Now you guys see 8 red flags. So that's going to be from the background check that we're going to be running. I'm going to tell you more about that here in a second. Eviction report. Here's my standard. If you have an eviction, especially if it's in the last 10 years, 7 years, I ain't taking it. I don't want the headache. I know it's going to be a headache, right? So eviction is pretty crucial. Income verification, that's something else that we run. I want to make sure that you can pay for the property. If you got Section 8, I want to make sure Section 8 can pay what they pay. I know they will because it's government backed, but I need to make sure that you can pay the $50, the $100 per month that you need to pay, right? Or if it's an A-class property, I still need to make sure. For commercial tenants, I still need to make sure. I mean, we look at tax documents, etc. So I think vetting on these tenants from step one is the most important part. And I'm going to give you guys an example. So right here, you'll see criminal record 8, right? So this person had 8 things on their criminal record. So I'm looking down at their report now at this point to see what the hell happened, that there's 8 things wrong with this person. Out of my own curiosity, I need to know before I decline this person. Well, I looked, they had driving under suspended licenses, minor misdemeanors, right? No violent crimes. They weren't a sex offender, so we get a sex offender report as well. You can see it there actually. And then I'm looking at the date at which they got this. So this tenant actually got this, I believe, 14 or 15 years ago when I showed you, Seth. Was it 15 years ago?
07.
07. So about 14, 15 years ago. So at that point, it's up to my discretion. Do I want to take this tenant? 14 years, a lot can change with a person in 14 years. Okay. So this is something you have to use your discretion. And also, the number one thing I look at is you got to vibe with that person, right? Fill them out from the beginning. Is this a person that seems trustworthy? Is this a person that seems like they will pay their rent? Don't ignore the vibe that somebody gives off, the atmosphere that somebody gives off. But the biggest part for this, I believe from the beginning, has to be a strong application process, right? This will alleviate you from having to deal with problem tenants most of the time. And I'll tell you, I just looked at my rent roll today. It's the first of the month. Happy National Landlord Day too, everybody. I just looked at my rent roll, and I have 4 problem tenants. I got over 140 units, guys. I got 4 problem tenants. One always pays late. The other one, questionable. The other one, just a nuisance. We can't wait. They leave in like 15 days. And another one pays late. We got 4 out of 140. And I credit most of that to the application process. All right. Seth, anything you want to key on before we go to the next one?
When you're looking at income and stuff like that, what are your thresholds that you're looking for?
Good. That's a great question. If you guys have questions too, don't hesitate to write it in the chat. YouTube, Instagram, don't hesitate to write in the chat if you guys do have questions. So for income verification, typically I'm looking for 3x, or if it's a Section 8, I'm looking for at least 2x, right? So 2 times the rental amount or 3 times the rental amount. You want to make sure that this person can live comfortably. I'm also looking for job like security as well, right? If this person, because on the job report, or let me see, the income verification, we could see if they jump from job to job to job to job, right? What are the chances of them jumping again or not being able to land a job? These are things that I'm looking for, right? But I want at least 3 times the rent roll. So if my rent's $2,000, they need to bring in $6,000 a month.
Yep.
Anybody else with questions on this application process while we're here? Awesome. Here from my hotel room. Oh, hey, Nicole. Nicole said here from my hotel room. Great to see you on. Nicole's watching us from Instagram. Anybody else with questions before we move on from the application process? Like I said, this is the Nago. If you guys want a link to it, I'll be happy to share you guys a link. But this is what I'm using for all tenants. Do not. Oh, let me just put this out there. Clarissa asked a good question too. Oh, Clarissa, I could chew this up. Nago should sponsor me by the time we're done with this one. So do not skip the application process. My 2 problem tenants, I skipped the application process on them. They were friends. I knew better, right? And it slipped. And I'm gonna tell you guys that that's my vulnerability. Is I let that slip, and I knew I shouldn't have. But those are the 2 people that are always late. They pay, but they always late. They pay their late fees, but they always late. All right, so don't skip that application process. It's not worth it in the end. What is the advantage of a Nago versus a Veil? Oh my God. Clarissa, how much do you pay for a Veil? If you could put it in the chat, or if you could unmute, I'd love to hear how much you pay for a Veil. I don't know if Clarissa can unmute right now. Oh, there you go.
I did.
Yep.
Yeah. So I believe it's $7 a month. And then I got someone else to join Avail. And so I got a $50 credit.
Oh, that's great.
So I guess until that runs out, I won't be paying anything. But afterwards, it's $7.
Cool. You know how much I pay?
Oh, gosh. Do I want to know? Is it 0?
It's 0. It's 0. Right? That's the number one thing about a Nago. It's going to offer everything that a Veil does and more. If you're listing your property, etc., it's 0. There's no maximum how many properties you can have on there. It is a great company. I DM them all the time. They DM me back. We talk all the time about some stuff that they should have and add. Some stuff they've actually added. So kudos to Nago. But it is a great software. Like I said, if you want a link, I can give you a link and see a direct link to it. But I love it because everything is all in one. And if you guys have ever managed property before, it's tough. And Casey just said last I checked, Avail didn't have an app. Yeah, and the Nago app, you can use it from your phone. You can use it. They have a whole desktop software. It keeps me pretty organized. I wouldn't be able to manage all these units with management in-house without that app. I'll be honest with you guys. So kudos to them. And like I said, I'm not sponsored by them. I'm here to help you guys. So I enjoy showing that. Great.
You should be.
Awesome.
I have a question.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brandon.
So
Go back to the last slide, Seth. Go back to the last slide.
Appreciate it. Let's say you're not the property management that's in place. What are some other ways that you keep track of, keep organized with things? Like if you're not the actual property manager in place, like you use Excel, or do you still go through a Veil or something like that just to keep track of the rent roll and all of that?
Brandon, you saying if you don't have a property management software at all?
Yeah, like let's say you're not the property manager. What software would you use? Would you just use property management software?
Yes.
Or would you just use Excel?
Excel is for dinosaurs.
Right.
I would not use Excel. Go ahead, Seth.
You would hope that the property manager that you have in place has some type of reporting that's available to you, that you'll get monthly reports on your rent rolls, your delinquencies, and different stuff like that. That would be part of the vetting process of hiring a property manager, is what kind of transparency on the financials am I given? The one that we use actually has the software that we can log in to do it. So, it makes it to where we wouldn't need a management software like Nago because, it's all handled through the property management company.
Yeah. So if you do have a property management company, they should have all of this for you. If you do not, do this in-house. And to my students, you guys know I always recommend start with your own first. Do your own property management first. That's something we're going to talk about, I guess, next week. That's next week, Seth? Property management?
It's coming up.
Yeah.
It's not next week, it's the week after.
Okay, we're gonna dig into that one. That's gonna be a good one. All right. Cool. Great question, Brandon. I hope we answered that for you too.
Yes, thank you.
Yep. All right. So the next letter, C, communication. All right. I gotta put this out for you guys. And for my students, you guys should know this, right? text and mail to leave a trail, right? If you call a tenant, there is no trail, especially in your bigger cities. If you're in like, your blue states, New York, California, you need a trail, right? When you go to court, and most of you probably have never been to court for an eviction, when you go to court, they want the paperwork. They want to see the paperwork. They want to see your trail that you've left. So if I have an issue with a tenant, I do two things, right? Let's say I need to evict them, or let's just say we're not even gonna get to eviction. Let's just say I have an issue. One, I do text and I do mail. So if you look on the letter, or if you look at that letter on a side, right? That's a letter I just sent out to some of my tenants. Look, I need to charge you for your washer and dryer. People have been taking advantage of it. Got to charge you for it, right? They got the communication. They got the mail. Sometimes it will be physical mail, right? Certified mail, because I want to show that I have a track record. So if it was something more serious of like, hey, look, for example, I had a tenant with, grills. They had like, flammable grills, propane on it. Now my insurance is going to ding me for this if they see that, right? So, hey, look, I need you to remove those grills. I can tell them that, right? So me driving by, I'm going to tell them, hey, look, I need you to move those grills. The next step, now I'll have to send you a text message, right? And I got to send you some certified mail to say, hey, look, I've told you I need that grill removed, right? After that, I'm going to send you a notice to quit. I think that's on the next page. We won't get there yet. But then I have to act on that, right? I have to make sure that you know that I'm serious. Because there are tenants, if you're not serious, they'll step all over you. They will step all over you. And I have letters like this. And this is through Inago too. I actually sent this to Inago. But I have letters like this asking tenants, hey, you need to clean your place. It's dirty. I found dogs. Hey, look, we found dogs. These are the steps that we need to do. This is how we're going to rectify this. And then the next step, and most important as well, is to have a strong lease to refer to, right? Your lease has to have things in it to protect you. That is the purpose of your lease. It is a document, but it's there to protect you. Okay? It protects your tenant in some ways, but it's there to protect you. All right? So in that lease, I have it set that, hey, look, if I find a dog, it's a $250 fee. Okay? All right? And so if I find that dog, I'm going to document it. I'm going to take a picture of the dog. I'm going to take a picture of dog scratches. And Seth, I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I have tenants that say, oh, yeah, I don't have any pets, but there's a cat bowl. There's cat food in the apartment. Why don't you don't have pets, but why is that stuff here? That doesn't add up for me. So I've caught people all types of ways. And I'll just refer to the lease. My lease is my bylaws. That's my rules. You got to follow the rules if you're going to live in my place, right? And then finally, you got to be firm, fair, and consistent. And I want to highlight that because I went to tell those tenants about the grill last week, because this grill story it just sits with me during this whole thing. I told the tenants about the grill last week, and I went to check on it yesterday, and they were like, oh, well, so-and-so has a grill around the corner. I got to be firm. I got to be fair. I can't say you can't have a grill, but they can, right? I got to be consistent throughout. So a good landlord, because if I don't, that's just going to open a loophole for tenants to argue. I don't want that loophole. I want to make sure the property is protected all across. So you got to be firm, fair, consistent. Make sure you have a strong lease, and make sure you have a trail. When you go to court, judge is going to ask you, hey, where's your lease? Tenants going to argue. They're going to fight for everything. I wish Holly was here because Holly got a good story too. But tenants are going to argue everything. They're going to say, oh, I didn't get a letter saying that, I had to be here, or I didn't get a letter saying that my rent was due. The tenant know the law is sometimes better than you guys. Right? So you have to make sure that you have a firm understanding, your lease is strong, and you have a trail. Look, hey, Your Honor, and Your Honor, hey, look, here are pictures of the dog that they had. Here are pictures of the dog prints, the water in the food bowl, the mess that it made. Here's me printing out letters. I've sent them letters. I put it at their door, took a picture of the door, certified mail. You want to have as much of a mail track, especially depending on what city you're invested in, that you could prove whatever your case is. Seth, anything you want to add to that before we open up for some questions on this one?
Yeah, I think the only way that I would ever trust phone conversation is if it's legal for you to record without saying it.
Yeah.
And that's going to depend on the state and stuff like that. But if that's legal, then that's probably going to be your most powerful thing. But it's got to hold up in court as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to come out to the local state laws and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you got to have a paper trail. If you don't have a paper trail, they're going to come in with a paper trail.
100%. They coming with everything.
I'm telling you, when they come into court, they've got a just print out of this and that. Some of them are super organized. Some of them are pulling them out of their pant pocket and their purse, and out of their jacket, and out of this, and out of that, and just folded up pieces of paper. And Your Honor, this is what I got. And
it stands up. It stands up.
Sometimes, you know, if it's that one specific rule or law that they're fighting you for and stuff like that, they can almost recite that one specific. They can't recite the whole law, right?
Yeah.
But they can recite that 2 lines that's so important that they want to push.
Yeah. So it is super important to have that that line of communication. And I've seen the dirtiest, most unorganized. I'm telling you guys from my own experience now. I've seen the dirtiest, most organized tenants show up to court with a suit and tie, right, with paperwork. Don't take it for granted, guys. Make sure you have your own paper trail. And so one thing Inago does, and I'll share this with you guys too on today's call, is, and I love the software for that, but I do it on my own. I was doing it before then. The first day that the rent's due, if I don't get it when it's late, you get a letter that day, right? 2 days after that, if I don't get a rent, you get a text, you get a letter. If by day 10, you get a text, a letter, and we filing for eviction. That's how it's written, right? In different states, different rules, you might have to wait 30 days, you might have to wait 60 days. There might be, but get it started as fair as possible, as fast as possible. Make sure you have the paperwork. And Inago, again, and like I said, they should sponsor me by the end of this, but I use them, and their software automates all of this for me. It's all automated. So tenants can't say, oh, I didn't get the message. I didn't get, hey, here's the email right here. Here's a message of me sending it to you. I got paper trail.
Yeah.
So any questions on this before we move on to the next slide, guys?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
Like I would, because this kind of been sitting on me of like wanting to continue to invest in Baltimore, because I just feel like how you speak on like it being a tenant state. Would that be something to consider? Like is that in your decision on wanting to invest somewhere when you hear it being a tenant state or landlord friendly state? Like is that
that's one of the top pieces,
factor?
Brandon. One of the top pieces is one, you need people to make real estate work.
Yeah.
Right. You need the numbers to be right, find a deal, and then you need the law. Right.
Yeah. You
look at New York City, and I don't think we posted this video. I don't know if you guys saw it, but a hoarder took over a tenant's house in New York City. The hoarder, or I don't know if it was a hoarder or what it was. Somebody took over a house in New York City. Triple H, a squatter. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, squatters took over a house in New York City. And the lady was kicked out. She was arrested, right? Because the squatter laws are so good in New York City. They're so good in California. It doesn't work for real estate investors. If you look at real estate investors, they are leaving California and New York City in droves. That's why the money is flowing to Florida. That's why it's flowing to Texas. That's why money's coming here. We're getting a lot of that money here from people that don't want to invest in those cities anymore, those states anymore, because it's not landlord friendly. So I always consider that. Be familiar, but I think more important than that too is to be familiar with the laws, right? Yeah. You got to know the laws. Go ahead, sir.
I know 3 investors that I've met since I've moved here to Morgantown that invest solely in West Virginia, and they're from California. They live in California, they do business in California, but they invest solely in this state. Not that West Virginia is the best tenant state or anything like that. It's just I found them. I was looking for people. But on the same point, right? Like with Mountaineer REIA, it's the Real Estate Investors Association. So there's a national chapter, and I've been to their national conference a couple of different times. So I've met with people that run chapters all across the nation. There's a chapter in Manhattan, in New York, that has about 450 members, like paid membership to be a part of that group. And when I talked to the leader of that group, she said that 98% of her members are investing out of state. They're located locally. They come to every meeting.
Yeah.
98% of them invest outside of the state of New York because of the tenant laws.
Yeah.
Yeah, that says it all right there.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And like I said, I know people as well. There's just certain laws in areas, so you got to know your area. I think that's the most important. That's why I always tell new people, especially if you're a new investor, invest in your backyard and get familiar with your area first. Because if you can master your area, okay, you got the law, you know what's going on, and it's a good stepping stone for you to further invest. Clarissa wrote, I noticed neither Ray nor Seth said if, but when. Should we begin each tenant relationship if there could be future legal interactions? 100%. It's not for me. This is like, I mean, think about your lease. Your lease is there to protect you for when, right? Insurance. I look at insurance as like when it's gonna happen. I just increased some of my. I'll tell you, I just increased some of my insurance rates just to protect me for when something happens.
Think about the partnerships that we were talking about last week and the week before last, right? Like those are contracts, whether it's joint venture agreements or operating documents or stuff like that. Those are put in place to protect everybody because sometimes those partnerships are joined in the very beginning of a relationship. That's what's happening here. You're partnering with your tenant, right? And you know them from the information they gave you on an application, and that's about it. So the lease is your contract between the two, and yeah, I mean you just need to be prepared because people lie all the time.
100%. On a Wednesday call, guys, and Seth, keep that point. On a Wednesday call tomorrow, guys, I'm gonna go in depth about how to look at the application. I'm gonna give y'all some more keys because I ain't do my justice tonight. I'm gonna give y'all some major keys tomorrow. Okay. But yeah, communication is crucial. Is a crucial step. Make sure you keep that communication open from beginning. As soon as you see something, or your property manager sees something, make sure you keep it from the beginning to the end. And let's talk about the end now. All right. Termination. All right. So this, I mean, I think we jumped ahead on not knowing, but you got to act. And on the final step, you got to terminate. You got to get rid of them at a certain extent. And this goes to dirty tenants. I have tenants that stink up a house. They got a dog and they don't let their dog out. Now the whole house smells like pee. It just happens, right? And you have to get rid of these people, okay? So first step is to know your local laws, like we mentioned. You got to know what your laws say about how you can go about getting rid of these people and take action from the beginning, right? Start getting the ball rolling. And I know some of you guys, we had a gentleman on last week and he was in a kind of a desperate situation where it was like, look, you got to take action from the beginning. Like as soon as you see something, if they're behind on rent, take action from the beginning. The longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you in the end. I would rather, and I'll be honest with you guys, I would rather file out eviction and maybe lose that 50, 100, because I'm gonna charge a tenant the late fee, or I'm gonna charge him an admin fee for filing that paperwork. I would rather file out eviction though and have it already rolling than for me to have to wait another 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, a month. And in certain, and I'm in a landlord friendly state. Certain states, it's 4 months, 5 months. I had and I'll share this with you guys too. I had a buddy of mine. He's invested in New York, and you know the process is so backed up. It's like 1.5 years to evict somebody in New York City. All right, so just know that if you got a problem, you want to get it started. He started with this. He filed for,
and the average rent's what, $2,500, $3,000 a month
for like a 2-bedroom, maybe.
2-bedroom.
Yeah. And so he started for, let's say this tenant needed to be out. The tenant caused problem in January of last year, right? So the tenant didn't pay January, February, and didn't pay the next like 8 months or something, 9 months. So he had started the process. Well, the guy ended up paying January, February, right? And now he goes to court in December, and the judge is like, okay, well, the guy paid January, February, and my buddy goes, well, look, he didn't pay March, April, May, June, July, August. Judge said, no, I got to throw it out. You only wrote January, February. That's how real this is, guys. Right? So this guy has to reapply to get this guy out. Right? And who does that hurt? That hurts people who are trying to find affordable housing. I mean, it hurts everybody. And these people are milking the system in some way. Again, with that firm, fair, and consistent, making sure you got late fees and fines. Right? If I find something, I'm going to fine you. You're going to pay for it. Right? Because eventually I'm going to pay for it. So, like I mentioned, that might be, hey, you got a dog. Hey, I caught you smoking cigarettes. Right? And I never catch the tenants. You know what? I'll share with you guys. I walked in. I was doing an inspection. I had my guys replacing some windows in one of my units. I walked into the top floor unit. The tenant has a cigarette in their hand. It's no smoking, right? Oh, I didn't know. Got you. You're gonna have to pay for this now, right? So at that point, fine. Follow up. Make sure that they're not smoking anymore. These are just like the little things that you find them. Make sure you get your fees. If it becomes an issue, take action. And on this picture I gave you guys, this is an example, and you guys in the mentorship too, you guys have access to this file. This is what's called the notice to quit. Now you got to make sure it's specific to your local laws. Have an attorney prepare it, but a notice to quit, this could be a notice of non-compliance. But pretty much if you see your tenants doing something wrong, this is some of that paperwork that I'm presenting to them, right? This is a paper, I just served one of these today. I served one of these today, tenant didn't pay, right? They still owe me from last month. Okay. There's certain areas I got a 30-day rule. And one lease I got a 30-day rule. Okay, 30 days are up. You ain't paid. You owe me this much. You got 5 days to pay me. Right? And I know all my tenants. I went and knocked on their door. Hey, I don't know what this is going on. This is going on. You got to be firm, fair, and consistent. If I wouldn't do it for anybody else, I can't do it for you. I'm sorry. You got 5 days. This is the game.
Yep.
All right.
I was looking at a portfolio of a couple of houses. Was walking through with they were all occupied, and so the owner, the landlord, managed themselves. And I walked in, and so I'm looking at the property and stuff like that. And the tenant was there. The landlord and tenant started having a conversation, and I said, if I could just take a look around, they said, yeah, it's fine. I overheard while I was in another part this tenant talking about how they just lost their job, and this, that, that. This was on the 8th of the month when they were talking about how, I hope to be able to have it here in about a week or two, or this, that, the other. And the way that landlord handled it was very caring and very hospitable, and we'll work with you and do this and we'll do that. Honestly, that was a part of my negotiation, right? Like that was a detractor for me, because you're asking me to buy these properties not only as is, where it is, but with the tenants in place. The problem is you have a problem tenant, right? So now I have to go through. I'm going to have to go through this eviction process with this person to get this person out. That's going to cost me money, so it makes your property less valuable. She didn't understand. She was like, "Oh, well, he's got money coming." Well, that one really doesn't have money coming in because it's 14 days late, or however many days late. Yeah, it's super important. And then the other thing is with late fees that he's been talking about, and it's noticed here on this notice to quit. Do not waive those ever. No. Not even once. No. Not even for a bit. Like, just set it up so it's automatic, and it automatically hits, and it's automatically part of the book. And I always say, when I was managing myself and stuff like that, I never came to my tenants as the owner of the property, even if I was them. When I was them, I came to them as the property manager, so that I gave myself a level of insulation from them. And I just told them, look, the owner doesn't waive it. Period. Yeah, that's a hard and fast rule, because you've got to be firm and you've got to be consistent with everybody. And I tell you what, you give them leeway once, the next month you're going to be 14 days behind. Yeah. The next month you're going to be 16 days behind. And it's going to keep on happening.
Seth, when I come through, I'm like Debo and Mike Tyson. So they know if I come through on that bike, I'm not playing around. I got to show y'all this too as we speak. This is the stuff I tell y'all is so real. I don't know if y'all can see that. Can y'all see that? The grill is gone. 658. I'm telling y'all, this is real life. But the stuff I tell y'all, this is what I really go through on a real life basis. The grill is gone, right? That letter went out today. That's how serious, but they knew it was serious. So your tenants will step all over you, right? Sometimes, and I am compassionate to some extent. Sometimes, single mother, she may lose her job. I get it, right? I get it. My parents went through the same thing. And at that point, that's when I may say, okay, I'll do the 30 days, right? But at the end of the day, you got to remember, when you invest in real estate, you investing for your freedom. You investing for your family, your family's freedom, right? So if you're not getting paid, right, your family's not getting paid. Nobody's getting paid, right? So you need to understand that. The quote, and I can't wait to share this quote because it's like the realest thing ever. And I can't wait to share with you guys. We found it, but Any questions about the termination phase for you guys? Now, remember, this is specific to area. So if you do have questions, they'll be pretty general. Anybody have any questions about the termination phase?
The only other thing that I would say too, and then they might chime in, is on, you know, the compassion and stuff like that. Like, it's okay to work with your tenant as when you're managing and stuff like that. Like Ray was saying, like, you don't have to, like, it is okay to be able to work with them, but you need to set it when you set something up, right? Like, what's your plan, right? And so the plan is, let's go back to, I'm gonna figure something out in 5 days, right? You set those guidelines up. If that timeline isn't met on that very first time, like pushing it back another couple of days, like that's gonna create a bad habit.
Yeah.
Now, if you're working something out and she's like, I've got the single mother analogy that you used before, right? I've got a job application, and I should know something by the end of the week. It's Monday now. I should know something by Friday. Okay, well, I tell you what, let me know by Saturday. If it's positive, then we'll work around this, that, the other. But you are going to reach out to me by Saturday at this time and let me know the status. If it comes to being Sunday morning and I haven't heard anything, that's a problem.
Oh yeah. If I gotta call you for my money, it's an issue. It's an issue.
Right.
And yeah, I agree with you, Seth. I am willing to work with people because sometimes I get it. Payday doesn't fall till Friday. Rent's due because my rent is due on the 1st, right? It's late after the 5th. But if the 5th is on a Thursday and you're like, hey, I don't get paid till Friday, can I get it to you on Friday? Cool. But you got to reach out first too. That's the other thing. And this is for tenants. If they're listening too, if you guys are tenants, reach out to your landlord and say, hey, look, this is the situation. It's not a habit, but I don't get paid till the 6th, right? Need to cash my check. Can you give me 2 days of leniency just so I can get this done? And most of the time, most of the landlords will be like, all right. It's the ones that I got to follow up after. Those are the ones that are my headache tenants.
I think it's important. Like, we went into this with the mindset of how we deal with problem tenants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody is a problem tenant in month 1, right? Like, this is where you start seeing problems. You start seeing them in that application process, and you start seeing them through the communication process.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you run into your issues.
Iffy Partners on Instagram said he's evicting a tenant right now. I get it, man. We get it. That's why we host these every Tuesday. Brandon, you want to ask a question? Go ahead.
Yeah. What about are you lenient with the form of the payment that the tenant may give you? Like, let's say, hey man, I only got it in Cash App, like something like that. How are you willing to bend that rule, or do you just stay firm on the payment type? Payment method.
So I will tell you actually from my experience, right? I don't care how you pay, as long as it goes to the right bank account for my purposes. I don't care how you pay, as long as you pay. I usually don't offer them Cash App. As part of their lease, as part of their lease, they have to pay on the Inago app, right? I don't want to run around grabbing checks. I don't want to run around having to pick up cash from you. That's not what I want to do, right? I do have systems where I could have, like, if you have cash, you could drop it to the bank, send me a receipt when it's done, that it went into the proper account, and I'll check the account. Boom, it's cool, right? That's how I deal with that. But I don't want to be the guy going around, Cash App. Here is the other thing too, and this is the reverse effect, is I've had tenants bounce checks so many times, right? Now we charge them for the bounce check, especially through the Nago app. So they'll put the money in, they'll send it, and they'll use a checking account, it'll bounce. And then a Nago requests that they send the money. And then eventually a Nago will just shut off their ACH account. You can't just use their account now at that point. So you're going to have to use certified funds. And that's where I'm at that point with you too. If you bounce 3 checks, I need certified funds. I'm going to need cash from you. And at a certain point, at that point, you're a problem tenant to me at that point. In my eyes, you're a problem tenant. Now I got to go get the cash from you, right? Or I got to go get the certified check from you because I don't trust you to put it in the mail. And if you got the cash,
that's the key of having one of these softwares like an Inago or any of them, right? Is that they're going to offer an electronic payment. So you're making it as simple as possible, right? Like, I honestly, how you get the money to that account to pay it is completely. I don't care, right?
Iffy Partner said they're investing in Baltimore City. Brandon, that might be somebody for you to network too. Triple H, I see you on a question. But the thing is, like with a tenant like that, they're a problem tenant because now I got to go chase you for the rent. And you know what? I have tenants like that, right? And those are out of the 4. Remember, I told you I got 4. One of them, when they say, Ray, I got the cash for you, I'm stopping what I'm doing right then and there because I know if I give them another day, that cash gonna be gone. Oh, something happened. Oh, I'm going to get that cash right now. And that's just real. This is a real landlord experience. Triple H, go ahead.
So we're talking about traditional rentals, but does the principles of what you're talking about now with the act steps here apply to Section 8? Because there's other aspects of it that need to come into play and considerations that are in play as well too.
Sure. So Section 8, I'll say the same thing. The government gonna pay me no matter what. I'll tell you, I ain't never miss a check from the government. Now the tenant, on the other hand, may have some issues. This is the problem. This is not the problem. This is a caveat about Section 8 is usually the tenant is paying an insignificant amount of that rent, right? The people on Section 8 may be struggling with some hardships as well. So I'll tell you, my average Section 8 tenant pays between $50 to $300. Right. So, and depending on their situation, again, I may be a little bit lenient. I have a single mother, for example, and she was like, hey, look, groceries are super expensive. My kid's been out of school because he's been sick. Can I get you the money on the 12th? And then I'll make up the rest on XY day. Again, she reached out to me though. Right. The thing is, if you reach out to me, I get it. I understand. Right. Let me know. Make sure if you're going to get it by the 7th, make sure you have it to me on the 7th. Right. If you're going to say you're going to get it on the 22nd, make sure you have it to me on the 22nd. That's fine. Right. I got to make sure that you get caught up. And I got to make sure it doesn't become something that's concurrently happening. Now, if it becomes an issue the next month and of next month, I got to get after you. Right. And then that's when the eviction happens. And typically in Section 8, if they talk to their admin for Section 8, they may be able to get some of their rent fixed. So Section 8 might pick up some of the extra slack. Like, for example, I'll tell you, I have some Section 8 tenants that lost their jobs, right? But Section 8 now pays the difference. So Section 8 compensates and pays the full amount of their rent. Whereas, if it was somebody else who didn't have that Section 8, they may not be able to pay that at all. So it does apply. And hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, I was more leaning towards like the eviction process or the termination process that you mentioned.
Oh yeah, it's the same.
Okay,
it's the same.
I know it flows differently because you have that admin person or the admin element versus you going to courts and then filing proceedings.
Nah, they violate their lease. At the end of the day, they violate their lease. So Section 8 will actually try to help them out by getting them moved if you need to, like before you actually even have to file eviction. If you talk to their admin, let them know, hey, look, so-and-so's falling behind on rent, need to get this situated. They'll either say, hey, look, let's get them moved to a lower unit or we'll pick up the slack. They're actually pretty helpful, I'll say. Evicting a Section 8 tenant, I've maybe done 1 or 2. Most of the time, and somebody just asked, I think Clarissa just asked, and this kind of keys in, do you have more lates with affordable housing or traditional rentals? Traditional rentals. The person on Section 8 is paying such a small amount, right? They're paying $150, $200, $300, maybe upwards of $500, $600, but they're paying a smaller amount than the average other person, right? And they may have some other subsidized benefits, like they may have food stamps and stuff. So if they're able to keep a job or get a job, the rent is like a small amount of what they're able to pay. I think it's like 30% of their income or something. So even Section 8 is going off of that 300 or 3 times amount rule as well. So I have more lates with traditional rentals, non-subsidized, right? And I'm gonna say it's with my C's and B properties, right? I'm gonna say that's what most of the lates are. People are losing their job. You guys may notice people are losing their jobs. People aren't getting paid. We have rent increases. People can't afford it. Things are happening. I have boyfriend-girlfriend breakups. When they break up, oh, okay, that is, oh my God. That's enough. We could have a whole conversation on that. But I found it to be more on the traditional rental for late fees. Actually, my Section 8 tenants, I looked at my rent roll today. Most of my Section 8 tenants are already paid. I'm getting payments on like the 27th for the next month. So most of my Section 8 tenants, they're taken care of. And again, that voucher is like
lose that free money, right? They don't want to lose their voucher.
Yes, and that's the thing. If they don't pay, I think they may lose their voucher. You kind of put your voucher on the line.
I mean, they may get one grace, right? If something happens and they're able to talk their way out of it, stuff like that. But if they become to have a track record of having problems holding up their end of the bargain for that voucher, like the government will take it away from them.
Yeah. Any more questions, guys, before we move on, wrap up for today? So if you want to hit the Q&A, I don't know if we have okay. No other questions. Just remember to act, guys. Application, remember, very crucial. Communication, and if worst come to worst, termination. All right. Joy put being a landlord seems quite difficult. It is not difficult with these processes in place, right? If you follow your rules, you follow your standards, it becomes quite easy. Hire a property manager. This is something you can just have your property manager do, but we teach you guys this at a high level. We want you to know what to tell your property manager to look for, right? So you can hire. Remember, a property manager is a job. You need to interview a property manager just like you would anybody else, right? Just like you would hire a contractor, interview a contractor. You need to do the same exact thing for a property manager.
Absolutely.
What state are you from?
These are good questions to ask the property manager too, right? Like, how do you deal with these situations, right? And the best way, like Ray says, when you're starting out, is the best way to start out is with handling your own properties until it gets to be a larger portfolio and things like that. Then you have real world experience. You've got those situations that you've run across that was trouble for you for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. When you're vetting that property management company, you have questions come up from real world experience, right? What happens when, even though my lease says that, I don't allow any pets, I've gone in to do a filter change on a property and found bags of dog food, mm-hmm. right? How would you handle that situation?
Yeah. Sherry says she's in Alabama. She's having difficulties with Section 8. Yeah, each area is totally different. You're gonna have each, and we've done a Section 8 special, and we should maybe line one up again, stuff, because that's a pretty good topic. Each person in each area, you're gonna have a different like admin for Section 8. So it can be specific to the admin. Some are more crucial. So you just got to be familiar with them. I'll give you guys some tips and tricks on our Wednesday call about how to work with the admins too. I got some secrets up my sleeve, but I'll be happy to help you guys with that as well. And if you haven't, make sure you sign up for the Wednesday class. I know most of you guys are already involved. If you're not involved, just DM me, send me a message. I'd love to get you guys signed up. It's high level. We go even deeper into these subjects and answer a ton more questions with everybody in the community. Seth, to wrap it up with the quotes. This one sits dear to me. All right. So instead of doing a quote a week, we found a bunch of quotes, and I tell you guys, this is real life, right? Are you really evicting me for not paying $14 after the tenant constantly refused to pay a part of the rent, only $14 a month? That is a Section 8 tenant, right? That is a Section 8 tenant. They haven't paid it ever. I know people that sometimes they'll say, okay, whatever. That's just a part, all right? While smoking a cigarette, I won't have the money to buy the $1 AC filter until next month, right? But you have money to buy cigarettes, right? But you can't buy the filter. It's the landlord's responsibility to repair the holes in the sheetrock. The holes were caused by the tenant. I don't have my rent money because of the 4th of July this month. If I could show you guys all the stuff, excuses that I heard. My kid's birthday is in 2 weeks. I won't have the rent money. I'm going on vacation. I won't have the rent money till the 15th. These are some people's priorities, right? I don't have the rent money because I had to buy school supplies. This one sits dear to me. When will you have it? I might let that rock just because I've been through the hardship. Can you have it for me in 3-4 days? All right, I get it. I don't have the rent money because I had a high electric bill. Tenant who runs the AC on 65 in the deep south during the summer. I didn't break the window. Neighbors' kids hit it from the outside with a ball. Yeah, right. You need to come and clog my kitchen sink. The smell is horrible. Sink has 3 pounds of pasta in the pipes due to tenant throwing it down the drain. We've seen it. I've seen tennis balls in the toilet. I've seen cups, party cups, red Solo cups in the toilet. And these are things we fawn for, guys. This is next level. These are real life experiences. I flushed grease down the sink with hot water. It's not my fault. The sewer line is plugged up. It's the landlord's fault. Yeah, right. When do I get my deposit back? I can't wait till tomorrow because I'm gonna show you guys some high level pictures of what I see. The tenant had dust. I mean, maybe 3 inches thick on their ceiling fan. Wants a deposit back. Holes all in the apartment. They smoked in the apartment. Wants a deposit back. Good luck. Why don't I get my deposit back? I cleaned the place. Over $1,000 worth of damage. Right. I'm cleaning this tenant's place right now. It's like a $4,000 renovation. Right. Just from the filth, the smoke, everything. So I hope these resonate with you guys. I see we got a couple more questions. Seth, you got a couple seconds? You want to go through these real quick? Let's just let's see. $14. Yeah, Matt, $14. The fair housing training was incredibly helpful. The day after it, I got a prospect for ESA. Because of training, I was confident dealing with that prospect. I'm happy we can provide that value for you, Clarissa. And I'm happy forget the lady's name who came on, but she was a great resource. If you guys do need anybody in the community, feel free to reach out to her as well. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This has been a great call. And next week, completing a BRRRR from start to finish. I know a lot of people have asked about how to do a BRRRR, steps of it, in a higher level look at it. We will see everybody tomorrow at 12 o'clock for the winner circle, the inner circle call. Remember, high level, if you need to sign up, just DM me. And Seth, thank you again. Everybody on, I appreciate you. We appreciate you guys' time for spending us every week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Y'all have a good one.
All right.
Have a good night.
Recording stopped.